Old lady continues in a state, to everyone's surprise, until doctors examined and saw something strange. This 68-year-old woman suddenly became pregnant. No one knows how a woman of her age can get pregnant until a doctor makes a shocking discovery. Don Marino was very confused. He walked faster than he could in the waiting room of that hospital where his wife was. At 73 years old, he felt as if his wife had betrayed him. He didn't know what to think because his wife, Joanna, was about to give birth. The event took place in the city of Havana, in the interior of Cuba, in 2018. The elderly couple had no previous children, nor did they ever imagine having any. Such an advanced age. Until one day, Joanna began to feel nauseous and the urge to vomit. So, Marino decided to take her to the hospital. The surprise was huge when the doctor told him, "Look, sir, your wife is not sick, she is pregnant." Don Marino, upon hearing what the doctor said, was completely frozen. He was sweating cold, as he was sterile due to a severe infection in his private parts when he was young, which caused infertility throughout his life. He was explaining how this was happening on the day Joanna was going to have her child. The whole family came to the hospital to witness such a memorable event. Many relatives came to visit, both from Joanna and Marino's side, offering their support, and some very subtly laughed, saying, "Poor old folks, at this age, they want to be parents. What a shame." In the waiting room were all the relatives who, very quietly, began to murmur and laugh, while others looked at Don Marino with concern as he walked and sweated a lot because he was very nervous and didn't know what to do. Thinking in such a situation, the old man wondered, so many years married to this woman, could she get pregnant at this age? Many relatives began to speak out loud, some defending Marino and others Joanna, until a very friendly grandmother of the old couple said, "Please, gentlemen, keep your comments to yourselves. We are waiting because we are in a very delicate situation. Look at Marino, he needs tranquility, not to be judged or criticized." A nephew of Marino, very upset with the situation, entered his opinion. "This is not your child. Do you really believe that? Your age is making you delusional." Marino didn't listen to his relatives. He only thought about what could happen to his wife and child, who was on the way, because the doctor told him that his wife could have several complications due to her advanced age. While they were in the waiting room, relatives argued and wondered what had happened. The gossipers wanted to know what would become of poor Joanna. Marino's brother, very bitter, arrived at the hospital shouting, saying, "Brother, that woman surely betrayed you. I, as your brother, know the illness you have. Surely she was unfaithful to you." Another lady who was there replied, "Gentlemen, don't you believe in miracles? Surely, our God had mercy on this lovely couple and, above all, with a good heart. They must believe in God's word." At that moment, Marino spoke very annoyed. "Please, lower your voice. Do you think I haven't thought about everything you're saying, brother? Furthermore, this comment is unnecessary for you to say it out loud. Please, respect, or I will have to send you away from the hospital." All family members and friends calmed their nerves after Marino's request, while doctors did everything possible to help Joanna and the baby on the way. An hour had passed and no doctor came out of the delivery room. The uncertainty was terrible for Marino, as he wanted to ask about his wife's situation. While Marino went to the room alone and calculated when was the last time they had intimate relations with his wife, he still couldn't understand anything. Every day, since he received the news, he has asked God for patience and wisdom to deal with the situation. He didn't know how to ask his wife for explanations without offending her. The only words that crossed his mind were, "You're sterile, you old fool, you're sterile." The calculations of the intimacies he had with his wife did not give him a good result. So, he left the dark room and went to wait in the waiting room for some doctor or nurse who could tell him how his wife and baby were doing. After a few hours, nurses and doctors started running out of the delivery room. The movement began to catch the attention of all the family members and friends who were there waiting for answers, but even more so for Don Marino, who was awaiting an answer in those critical moments. In the midst of so much despair, Don Marino saw a woman coming out. Apparently, she was a doctor and interrupted, saying, "Please, tell me the truth. How is my wife? Because they are going in and out." The woman looked at him with a sad look. At that moment, a doctor also came out, a little sad and taking off his mask. "It's me, doctor. Tell me, how is my wife?" "Look, Don Marino, some complications with your wife and the baby due to Donna Joanna's advanced age can affect both their lives. Look, doctor, my wife is in good hands. I have prayed a lot to God, sir, believe me. We have done everything in our power to help you both. But I talked to both of you when you started seeing the consultations. Yes, doctor, we knew. But help my wife so that nothing happens to her. The doctor shook his head and apparently only went out to inform the husband of everything that was happening, but doctors are coming now. Because the truth is that there are many complications inside. An old lady asked, "What complications are these? Can you tell us?" The doctor tried to calm the light and only said, "Please, don't despair. Everything will be fine, all right, doctor? I just ask that you help my wife so that nothing happens to her and the baby, and I also don't know what I would do without her." Listen to me, Mr. Marino, I was very clear with you. The truth about your wife is that it is very complicated. Mother and child may lose their lives. The relatives and friends who were waiting for the elderly woman's situation remained silent for several minutes. The brother approached and told Marino, "I told you, brother, she betrayed you. If she's like this, it's because she had another man, I guarantee you." A woman who loved Joanna very much also joined the conversation, saying, "Stop talking like that about a great woman like Joanna. The only thing happening here is that God is blessing her, sending her a child. That's the truth." Don Marino, very bitter, approached the people and said, "You're only talking about betrayals. I'm tired. If you're going to stay like this, it's better that you leave. All you're doing is confusing me. I just want them to cure her and for nothing bad to happen." Tom Marino's brother spoke to him again. "Brother, she's already 68 years old. She can't get pregnant at this point. In life, have some respect for her. She's my wife, and I won't allow you to speak like this about her." After what was said by the old man, all present remained silent. Furthermore, at that exact moment, the same doctor said, "Look, your wife, due to her advanced age, doesn't have a good heart. Furthermore, upon performing some tests, we realized that she suffers from diabetes and, in her private parts, doesn't have enough strength to give birth to a child. Everything is very delicate." "But, doctor, my wife is fine. Tell me the truth, please. My colleagues are performing a very complicated cesarean section because, due to her advanced age, her placenta is not the same anymore, her uterus is not the same, and she has a urinary infection." Don Marino, every time the doctor spoke to him, became even more nervous, while the doctor only informed him that he was doing everything possible to help his wife and recounted the progress he was making. "Please, doctor, keep me informed about everything. We are very worried about my wife and child here." "Don't worry, we will do everything in our power." After the news from the medical professional, the old man sat on one of the benches in the waiting room to pray to God to save his wife, with whom he had been married for many years, with whom he laughed and cried and shared so many moments. He couldn't lose her in a bad way. The relatives who were nearby sat beside him to provide the necessary tranquility, as his face was only sad and worried. The family members thought the situation was getting complicated with advanced age. "I hope my beloved God has heard me and all this sadness that surrounds my heart passes." "Yes, neighbor, we are here with you, always supporting you for our friend Joanna. Everything will pass soon. Do you want something to eat?" "No, I'm not very hungry. I just want this nightmare to pass. I don't want to leave here until they are out of danger." As the hours passed, only more people wearing their uniforms could be seen entering. Some relatives were on their knees, praying for Donna Joanna's health, and others just to see what would happen to the elderly woman who was still in the middle of the operation. Several hours passed until suddenly, the cry of a newborn shook the walls of the delivery room and was heard by all the relatives and friends who were waiting for that event. The only thing missing was to know if the mother was okay after all the complications she had while giving birth to her child. A few minutes later, the same doctor who had been giving him information about Joanna appeared. "Don Marino, I have good news. Mother and child are fine. We had complications during the operation due to Donna Joanna's age, but everything went relatively well. Both survived the tense moment and will soon be able to see the mother and the child who has good lungs." Everyone listened as Don Marino cried. The doctor said goodbye and went to the restroom, while Donna Joanna and her son were kept under observation to take them to the room so that everyone could visit them. At that moment, upon hearing the news, everyone hugged the old man, congratulating him because his wife was out of danger. He didn't know if the boy was his son. He always first thought about his wife's health. Don Marino returned to the same thoughts. He didn't know whose baby it was, didn't know if he should be happy or furious with what had just happened. He didn't know how to handle that situation, didn't know whose child it really was. He knew that child wasn't his, not after so many years of trying. He returned to the same thoughts he had before learning about his wife's complications. During the operation, an hour passed, and Don Marino turned, saw his wife coming out, brought by a nurse in a wheelchair. The woman, full of happiness, had her little son wrapped in beautiful fabrics to protect him a little since birth. With her eyes, she searched for her husband to show him the baby. "Look, my love, he is your son." The surprised relatives wanted to know where Don Marino was, who would approach very seriously his wife to meet the boy she held in her arms. Seeing the happiness on his wife's face as they saw them together, he looked at her very seriously and within himself said, "I can't believe you would do this to me, knowing that he is not my son." But something happened when he took the baby in his arms. The little one was as adorable as a lion cub, and with his ears red from the complexity of childbirth. "You left us very worried out here, Joanna. I beg God on my knees for nothing to happen to you, and here you are with this child who will be a blessing to our home. Watching closely, I know I am the father of this little one. Well, I forgive you from now on, Donna Joanna." He replied, "I love you. Do you think at this point in my life I could be unfaithful? No, my love, I know you're a renegade. The genes running through that little boy's veins are yours and mine. At this point in our lives, you can't lie to me. I know very well that I can't have children, especially since I am 73 years old. But when I see him, I already love him as if he were my son. Don't put that in your head." Finally, God blessed us with what we asked for 54 years, and it was given to us once and for all. Everyone knows that for over 5 decades we did everything to conceive a little product of our love. But not even science could make me pregnant. We even tried experienced in vitro fertilization, which finally got a miracle, which is the one you have in your arms. Slowly, all the relatives understood that the lady was saying without saying anything to the husband, not to expect her to do it. He made a third attempt at in vitro fertilization. That's how she got pregnant with the little one. The lady wanted to make a big surprise to her husband, even though she was the one surprised by such accusations. That wouldn't bother her because they already had a little Joao who would fill their home with light and joy. "I can't believe what you're telling me. It's a big surprise, Joanna. Love of my life. Thank you for this wonderful gift. Although I must confess one thing to you, in addition to apologizing for so many doubts I had since we met. I didn't know you were pregnant, didn't know you had undergone a third-glass fertilization procedure. I thought the little one wasn't mine. Everyone speculated that I would be the father, since they know me and know about my extremity, besides the years we tried. Will you forgive me for doubting you like this? I always told you that I wanted to give you the gift of being a father, and of course I forgive you. I know I should have told you and even tried, but my fear that it wouldn't be a success at first and then that something might happen didn't give me time to share the good news. But I told myself that when everything happened, I would tell the whole truth. You would be calm." The old man with the little one in his arms and a big smile on his lips, he sees his wife in front of him, giving him little Joao. Now it doesn't matter, love of my life, even before knowing the whole truth. When he saw the beautiful face of the boy, I loved him as my son immediately. Don Marino, with tears of joy, receives the hugs of his relatives who congratulate him once again for the new family member, a little one who will fill the elderly couple's home with light. However, the relatives who doubted the mother lady from the beginning gradually approached her to apologize for their thoughts of infidelity towards Don Marino. "Cousin, I must tell you that I am sorry. I want to apologize. I was one of those who gossiped that this little boy could have been the product of infidelity. But after hearing the whole story, I am sorry for my behavior. I knew my situation could be suspect, but I had to wait for everyone's result. If God wanted him to be among us, it would be a great happiness for everyone. I didn't want to think negatively, so I waited for the perfect moment to tell the whole truth. Little Joao would be a beautiful blessing to this family, as he is the son of the oldest and most loving parents in the world." Among hugs, congratulations, and apologies, night fell in the hospital. The family was around in happiness, making preparations for a party where they would receive a baby. I won't tire of thanking God. He decided that we should be parents, the oldest parents in history, but we love this little boy with our lives. for we searched for him for many years until finally luck was on our side. I hope you don't doubt me or the love I have for you again, you stubborn old man. Of course, my love, never again. As I promised you on the day of our wedding, I will always love you. Joanna, you gave me great joy. From now on, I will take very good care of you, of my baby. The happy couple left with the little one and the family towards their home, where they live with the blessing that God has given them, and they promised to raise a little one with much love and happiness in their home. In their home were all the relatives of the new family member, who had gone to the hospital a little earlier to surprise the family and receive the baby with a party. Everyone hugged the elderly parents and congratulated them for this blessing that came from heaven to fill their world with love and joy. Friends, what did you think of today's story? How many children do you have, and at what age did you have them? Put your answer here in the comments that I will be reading and enjoying each one, and tell us about your experience of how your life changed with the arrival of your children. Don't forget to share the video with your friends. A big hug and God bless you.